Hey, welcome to our explainer. You know that package that shows up on your doorstep, the food that arrives just in time for dinner, or the documents being rushed across town? They're all part of this massive delivery world that has, well, kind of been like the Wild West for a while now. But all of that is about to change. Today, we're going to decode a brand new law that's setting up a whole new rule book for every delivery service out there. We'll break down exactly what it means for you. To put it really simply, the entire system that gets stuff from a seller to your hands is getting a major overhaul. It doesn't matter if you're the one clicking buy, the business shipping the product, or the writer making the delivery, this new law is going to have an impact on your world. So, why the big change all of a sudden? Well, to really get why this bill is even a thing, we've got to look at how things are right now, which, as we said, is a bit of a free-for-all, the Wild West of delivery. I mean, think about it. Over the last few years, online shopping has just exploded. We're all ordering more stuff from more places all the time. And naturally, that's created a huge boom in delivery services to match. Everything from giant logistics companies with huge trucks to a single rider weaving through traffic on a motorcycle. But with all that crazy growth, this huge question has been hanging in the air. Who's actually in charge here? Who's setting the standards? Who makes sure that a delivery service is actually reliable and that everyone from the customer to the writer is protected? Honestly, until now, the answer has been, well, nobody, really. And you know what happens when there are no clear rules? We've all heard the horror stories or maybe even lived them ourselves, right? Packages that just vanish into thin air, deliveries that are delayed for days with no explanation. And when things go wrong, there's no clear way to fix it. This is exactly the kind of chaos the new bill is designed to sort out. Okay, so what's the big solution? The heart of this new law is the creation of a powerful new regulator. Let me introduce you to the Postal, Courier, and Logistics Commission. And this new commission has a crystal clear mission. Its whole reason for existing, according to the bill, is to build an efficient, standardized system that puts the consumer first. In other words, its job is to turn this chaotic industry into one with clear, consistent rules and a heavy focus on protecting you, the customer. So, how is it going to do that? Well, you can think of the commission as having a few key jobs. First, it's the gatekeeper. It'll be the one granting licenses to make sure operators are legit. Second, it's the referee. It's going to set the quality standards that everyone has to follow. And finally, it's the record keeper. It'll maintain a public list of all licensed operators. That means, for the very first time, you can actually check if a delivery service is officially in the game. It's all about bringing some much-needed structure and transparency. And this brings us to the part that's probably going to have the biggest real-world impact on businesses and writers on the ground: the new rules for getting a license and just operating. This leads us to the million-dollar question for pretty much anyone in this space. Who exactly needs to get a license to operate legally now? The short answer is pretty much everybody. Seriously, the reach of this law is incredibly wide. We're not just talking about the big courier companies with their fleets of vans. We're talking about that online shop you love that delivers its own stuff, that restaurant with its own team of delivery riders, even individual riders doing deliveries on their own. The main takeaway here is simple. If you're in the business of moving goods from point A to point B, this law is almost definitely talking to you. But there is one huge exception to all these rules: Ghana Post. The law basically creates a special lane just for Ghana Post, calling it the National Postal Service Provider. What this means is, while every single private company has to apply for a license from the new commission, Ghana Post doesn't. It also gets the exclusive right to deliver small letters and postcards, and it's the only one that can issue official postage stamps. Okay, so you can have all the new rules in the world, but they're not worth much if there are no consequences for breaking them. So what happens if someone decides not to play by the book? Well, this bill comes with some pretty serious penalties. And let's be really clear here, these aren't just gentle suggestions. This new law has some real teeth, with very real consequences for anyone who decides to ignore the rules. Let's just look at a few examples to see how serious this is. If you're caught operating without a license, you could be looking at a major fine or even up to 3 years behind bars. Unlawfully opening someone's mail, that could get you up to 2 years. Even something that sounds minor, like damaging a post office letterbox, carries a potential penalty of a fine or up to a full year in prison. The message here is loud and clear. These regulations are not a joke. All right, let's pull all of this together. We've talked about why this is happening, who's in charge, and what the new rules are. Now let's get to the most important part. What does this all actually mean for you in your day-to-day life? Let's just boil it down to the essentials. If you're a consumer, this whole thing should mean a better, more reliable service and a formal system for getting help if something goes wrong. For businesses, from the little online shops to the big guys, the message is simple. If you deliver, you're going to need a license and you have to meet the new standards. And for the thousands of individual riders out there, this law formalizes your work, but it also means you'll need to be licensed to operate legally. And that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? The goal here is pretty noble: create a safer, more reliable delivery system for everybody. But the big debate is whether this new law will actually pull that off, or if it will just end up drowning the very businesses and riders that keep this industry moving in a sea of red tape. It's a really delicate balance, and honestly, only time is going to tell which way the scales tip. Thanks for tuning in.